Welcome back. This is Homebrew Review. I am your host, Mr. MegaManFan, and today we are looking at Rebooteroids for Atari Jaguar as released by Atari Age, complete in box. I got this particular copy from a lovely man who goes by RD Reynolds online. He is the owner of WrestleCrap.com, and I have known him for many, many years. Oh, I would say going all the way back to the early 2000s. He is a great individual and a very strong retro gaming enthusiast. In fact, if you look in the manual of a certain Atari Jaguar game, you can find his shoot name as one of the testers. I don't think he's made that a secret, so I'm not telling stories out of turn, but yeah, that's how deep his love of retro gaming goes, is that he was actually a beta tester for an Atari Jaguar game back when it was still in production, back when Atari Jaguar hadn't been discontinued yet. But now the homebrew scene has taken over and picked up where that left off and produces brand new games like this. Now, I've generally found that the best way to do homebrew on Jaguar games is play them directly on the console itself and film them with a camera in front of it. However, if you know of a very solid Atari Jaguar emulator for Macintosh, go ahead and shoot me a message. Either leave it in the comments below, hit me up on Twitter at Mr. MegaManFan, or any other way you can think of that I could do a better capture than just pointing the camera at the screen. But at least you're getting the authentic Atari Jaguar experience this way. Well, except for it being on a cathode ray tube, but as close to it as you would probably have gotten in the 1990s because of the fact that there was not HDMI output or card capture devices back then anyway. The premise of Rebooteroids, if you hadn't already guessed it, is pretty simple. It's asteroids. You might ask why Atari Jaguar needs an asteroids game, and I would respond, why doesn't it need an asteroids game? Everything needs an asteroids game. Tell me one console that's ever been made that isn't better for having a port of asteroids on it. And this one adds some extra things befitting of the Rebooteroids name. Some of the asteroids that you hit will drop power-ups that you can collect. One gives you a reverse shot so you can fire forward and back at the exact same time. One doubles the firepower of your shots so you can destroy the asteroids faster. One gives you a twin shot. One is a score multiplier. You never quite know what kind of bonus you're going to get from an asteroid, or which asteroids are even going to have the bonuses inside. And of course, it's a risk-reward scenario because if you're trying too hard to fly around the screen and pick up those rewards, you can fly straight into the path of an asteroid that you haven't shot. So you have to factor all those things in, while at the same time dealing with the constant looming threat of a UFO invading the screen and trying to hunt you down. Although it is nice that the screen gives you a warning when a UFO is approaching, and even congratulates you when you destroy a UFO. Running dialogue is sort of a theme of Rebooteroids. Like when your ship crashes into an asteroid, it'll say Rock Beach Ship. Those little quips are amusing and add to the fun of an already well-fun arcade game. It's a very nice balance between playing with your feels and just letting you be absorbed in the experience. And this gets absorbing very quickly. The background music, the neon colors, the pseudo-vectrix display, it's all, well, the best example I can think of off the top of my head is Tetris Effect. It's that total stimulation of your brain, that achievement of the color stimulation, the audio stimulation, and your rapid fire response, getting all the neurons in your brain activated at the same time, to the point some people say they experience synesthesia when they're playing games like Tetris Effect, where you can see sound or hear color. I know that's weird, right? It's never happened to me, but I know it does happen to some people. It's a real thing. And if you get synesthesia from playing Rebooteroids, I wouldn't be surprised. I also shouldn't have been surprised when I got a game over and the high score table popped up. And lo and behold, who had all the top scores? None other than the aforementioned R.D. Reynolds. I guess that just goes to show that this Atari Jaguar cartridge has a reprogrammable ROM, which I later discovered was actually capable of being reset from the main menu. Although I'm very reluctant to do that. One, because I'd actually like the challenge of beating RD's scores, and two, when it said reset EEPROM, it made me fear that it would actually wipe the entire game, which would make the point of buying it from him moot now, wouldn't it? I am not going to reset the EEPROM, even if that's a built-in menu option. There are a lot of different menu options here. Let's go over a few of them. First of all, there's this two-player mode called Homebrew, and quite honestly, there isn't a point to this unless you had somebody else over and a second Atari Jaguar pad plugged in, because all you're doing in Homebrew is trying to kill your opponent 25 times by playing around the screen and shooting them. And if they're not moving, they're pretty easy to hit. So don't even bother with this one unless you got a player 2 sitting next to you. There's no AI-controlled opponent. I don't think they had the time or the space to program one in. And it's probably more fun if you're playing against a real person anyway. So yeah, get a friend over for Rebooteroids. Otherwise, this option is not for you. We've got a plethora of options you can adjust from the main menu, and owing to the fact that it saves the high scores, I would assume it saves your settings as well. These are probably RD's preferred settings that I'm looking at right now. And since the sound effects and the music seem to be at the right level, I don't see the need to tweak them. But there are other things you can tweak, like the background gamma, which I would assume is the rate of decay of the vector style graphics, how bright they are, how long they last. That's just an educated guess, but I'll look in the manual later to confirm that. And as you can see, there were also listings for rotary controls, so if you have an Atari Jaguar rotary control, you can use it with this game, and you can even tweak it to match your preferred settings for how sensitive it is. Jagtopia, well, this appears to be a homebrew launcher that they included as a bonus with Rebooteroids. I could already boot Homebrew using a Battlesphere cartridge, so don't necessarily need it for that purpose, but it's nice that they included it here. VJL load probably provides a similar function, much like an OPL load from that launcher that you can use on PlayStation 2. And there's a jukebox where you can select one of the 4 different tracks that were composed for this game and just sit back and enjoy them. You don't even have to do anything in the game to hear them. You can just go to this jukebox and play them at your leisure whenever you'd like. I think the mode that fascinates me the most, though, is called Skirmish. I'm interpreting here that this is intended to be a web-based submission of high scores, because when you get a game over, it provides a hash that you can submit online. And curiously enough, it has its own high score table on the physical cartridge itself. I guess you could use that as a backup ident, like if you submit the hash and they don't believe it's a real high score, you could send in the cartridge and they could read the EEPROM and determine that was indeed a legit high score. However, given the controversy about recording high score tables on websites over the years, I don't know if this was implemented fully or if it was just programmed in with the intention of doing something with it in the future. I'll have to look in the Jaguar forum at Atari Age and see if Skirmish ever actually developed into a full-fledged competition. And if so, I would definitely be at the bottom rung of it, because I just barely managed to get over 10,000 while I was trying it, which was good enough for 10th place on my own copy. And I've got a long way to go before I catch up to R.D. Reynolds and any of the scores he set on this cartridge in the regular Rebooteroids mode. But I'm enjoying this game so much that I look forward to that challenge. Thank you, R.D. Reynolds. You did me a very good solid hooking me up with a physical copy of this one, and at a very affordable price with affordable shipping too, because Atari Jaguar homebrew games aren't the cheapest thing that you can come across. And I definitely got it for less than what it would have sold for back in the day or even currently on AtariAge.com. Like I said at the beginning, RD is a very good man, and he's done a lot for me over the years. He'd probably say I've done a lot for him too, promoting WrestleCrap and supporting WrestleCrap Radio when that was in its prime. So I'd say we've each done for each other. But if you've never been to WrestleCrap and you want to have some fun with the best and the worst of professional wrestling, it's all in good spirit. It takes a Mad Magazine type approach, I guess I would say. Like, we're laughing with you, not at you. Like, we know some of this stuff is absurd, but we still love it anyway. And that's why I've always loved WrestleCrap. It allows you to have a little laugh at some of the wackier things in professional wrestling, and remember that it's all in good fun, that you can enjoy the silly things as well as take it seriously and root for your favorites and boo the villains. Now, this skirmish even includes a QR code, which I wasn't expecting. So, like I said, they clearly had big intentions for this mode to be used in a lot of different ways. So, I will investigate this further. But my bottom line is that Rebooteroids might be my favorite Atari Jaguar homebrew to date. But I know there are a lot more of them out there to play, so there's a lot more for me to do in the future on this show. I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and as always, thank you for watching.